Hey guys, welcome to episode 154 of the League of Legends Anonymous podcast. I am your host Sam, aka Just Casual. Here I have with me Blake, back from his tonsils, tonsilless Blake, aka Wise Papa Smurf.
I think the lack of tonsils has only made my voice more sultry and attractive.
And we also have a reoccurring guest, Manny, aka Manster415.
Yes, which is, it's more like on League, it's just Manster, and then the 415 is for Twitter, but we can get into that later.
You should see if they have Manster 8675309.
That'd be great.
There you go. We have an awesome episode for you guys. We're going to be doing something a little weird. You're going to actually see 2 files released this week, and we're going to split the episode up into 2. So if you don't like patch notes, you can skip this episode, but you should probably listen to it because we're going to be talking good stuff from patch 7.16. Second part will be listener questions. So if you still won't heed my warning, or not warning, my recommendation to listen to this episode, you can still you can skip to the other one. If you're here to not because you've enjoyed Blake not being on the podcast, I'm sorry. He will be on both parts of this episode, so you'll have to wait until next week, and maybe he won't be here.
Now I'll probably be here next week. I got lots of time to make up and more people to piss off, so I can't.
Every episode will be 2 hours now with Blake only.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you this: my one-man solo show went over pretty well. Whenever I did, the off-meta support picks episode,
Yeah,
people like that.
Yourself. To show like you had multiple people on the show, you like start using random voices.
I just have like puppets on my hands that I talk to.
Just,
the video version of that minisode was amazing.
Yeah. But no, really, like, yeah, everybody who was curious, I was out for like a month because of like tonsils, and then my wife's grandmother had a bit of a health scare. I thought I was gonna have to drive to Kansas, like right during the recording time. So it's been a weird set of circumstances, but no, I didn't like quit the show or anything. You don't have
Welcome
to
back,
unsubscribe.
Blake.
Yeah.
I did miss you. That is not a lie. It is actually
you had
true.
to deal with all these normal people and their moderate opinions.
Things went so easy. It was boring. Podcasting became boring for me.
It's like the tumor went down a few inches in size. You know,
I actually decided to start 3 other podcasts to make it more challenging.
I was so productive.
I lost 13 pounds and my hair's growing back. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's good to have you back, though.
It is good to have you back. And just like always, we have tangented for the first 5 minutes when I'm just like trying to get right into things. But of course, it's good to have you back, Blake.
Yeah, that's cool,
And
man.
Man, it's good to have you again.
I
as
lit
well.
a moon candle.
Yeah.
You know, like one of those mood candles. I
A
lit
mood
it.
candle.
So I'm going to be in a great mood.
So it's
Ooh.
this podcast is now lit.
This
All right.
Oh,
podcast is
no.
now lit. Oh. Top notch.
And if
Top
you're
notch.
watching the video podcast, you could just see the candle just passing by Blake's screen.
And,
Yeah.
you know, here I
You
thought...
pass it off to me.
Here I thought that Ponderous Sea Lion quit League of Legends, but we're talking lit now. So next you're gonna say shit like fam and PogChamp. I'm gonna reach through the screen and slap you.
I'm young. I'm a kid. I'm hip.
I'm hip.
I'm fly.
guy.
Do they say fly still?
They
Do
say
people still
groovy.
say
I
fly?
think. I think they've gone full circle and they're back to like groovy and rad.
Cappuccino.
You know, I
Dear
think
God.
that like all of the slang I learned, I got from that Super Mario level. You remember the one I'm talking about? It was
I have
on the
no idea what you're talking about.
It was on the SNES. It was Super Mario World, and there was
Uh-huh.
like an area that you could open, and it had like a whole bunch of different levels, and they were all named after slang terms like groovy and radical
Oh.
and gnarly and shit like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's where I think that's what all the kids are saying now.
Man, you weren't a kid when that came out? I was a kid when that came out.
No, I was
was
a
a
kid when
kid
that
too.
came out. Let's see.
So that should have been like in your
Mario
normal language.
World.
Anyways, all right. As Blake looks that off, let's get started with this episode before people quit both these episodes.
Okay, it was released when I was 7, by the way.
All right, yeah, you're
I
a
had
kid.
just turned 7.
Well, you didn't know what groovy meant as 7?
No. I said that's where I've got most of my reference for what kids say
Oh,
is from
currently,
that. Yeah.
gotcha. You'll get up to date with what the kids are saying next year when they release like Super Mario Odyssey, and they'll start naming levels. All right, that one failed. Patch 716, Blake. Oh, actually, before we go into patch, what Blake wants to talk about the patch. Quick rundown on the patch. 4 champions got buffed. That was Fiora, Fizz, Cyan, and Vi. And then we have a lot more that got nerfed. It's like the mage, the mid lane.
It was
nerf.
like the mid lane tuning for worlds.
Yeah,
was the way
basically.
they described it.
So we have Caitlyn, Cassiopeia, Corki, Galio, LeBlanc, Maokai, Orianna, Syndra, Talia. They got nerfed. Now, when we talk about these nerfs, for the most part, I'm going to say that these are pretty insignificant. However, we'll be talking probably the ones that you should be aware of or that we care about. So first thing, Blake. You want to talk about Maokai because that was such a significant nerf, right?
Well, first off, I want to talk about what the actual names of those levels are since I looked them up.
God.
And they are gnarly, tubular, way cool, awesome, groovy, mondo, outrageous, and funky.
Mondo?
Those, yeah.
What the hell is Mondo?
Like Dr. Mondo, you know?
Yeah. So that's what the
He's
kids
way
are.
cool.
Yeah, that's what the kids are saying these days. So if you want to relate to some young people, just walk up and be like, "Hey, groovy Mondo dudes, have a radical day," and then watch our downloads skyrocket. Those like these guys get it. They're not 33 years old at all. Wait, I'm 34 now. Shit, I just had a birthday. They're not 34 years old at all. He talks like we talk. Radical.
Yeah, I'm expecting to hear all those levels listed out sometime during this episode by Blake.
I just did that. I just
I mean,
did
no,
that. Were you
no,
not
I mean-
listening?
I mean, just
Like
throughout the episode, I'm going to hear, like you said, and
Oh,
these
those words,
Maokai buffs are way cool.
No, I was gonna say that they were Mondo, but you kind of
Mondo.
ruined it. And okay, so they're
Maokai.
actually the Maokai buffs or nerfs were actually like not
Okay.
Mondo at all. So yeah,
What are you
and
talking about? His E is now unusable.
well,
of
okay,
course.
so let's talk about what
It's not.
the problem actually is with Maokai. The problem with Maokai is that he has more sustain than Swain, and is a tree. So he can take all
don't
the
like
damage
trees here.
that a tree can take, which is a lot because trees are made out of thick wood. And that being said, he is incredibly difficult to chop down in lane. So therefore, the attacking the fruits of the tree instead of the trunk of the tree is a huge mistake in terms of balancing. Also, this tree can heal itself every 4 auto attacks. So that's fucked up, and the healing is too high. So I mean,
Don't forget the
realistically,
CC.
yeah, the problem isn't that he does damage. The problem is that he's goddamn unkillable. Has like a CC that makes him untargetable in his grasping roots, and gets a shit ton of health back like every few times he autos if there's abilities and shit used. So he's just really impossible to kill, and he does all the shit that tanks do that makes them very difficult to deal with. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that Maokai has always been like the ruler of tanks. Like when tanks come into meta, you always mention Maokai. Like
Yeah.
it happened before you know they had the changes to his entire kit and everything. Like I feel like at this point Riot is just afraid to like because they could kill him, right? Like they could easily kill him by like slashing his healing or like so many other things.
or Roundup.
Yeah, but like, of course. God
You know, you just apply a little to the base of the root, wait 2 weeks, and there you go.
Perfect.
That's a patch cycle. That would have done it. You know, but
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But you know, I guess what my problem is like his ult is incredibly powerful, but it's also like 100 snails, like slowly crawling
I think his
across the
ult is.
screen.
I think his ult is balanced, but you just need to know how to use it appropriately.
Yeah, I
Well,
love his
I,
ult
I feel like you just
actually.
need to use it with ridiculous amounts of foresight. Is the problem? So it's not
Right.
usable reactively. You have to
No.
use it like proactively in order to set it. And I understand that that's kind of like and this is how we're going to balance it. Tee hee hee. It's only useful in certain scenarios.
Hmm.
But to me, the ultimate should be a high point of a kit, something that feels really good to use.
Right.
And this is like a low point of his kit, and the passive is the high point. All the rest of his skills don't matter. And if it's like I'm playing a champion that your skills don't matter and your high point is in your regeneration, that and your regeneration isn't tied to an ult. It's not like Mundo that has a shit ton of regeneration and a regeneration ult that like
Right.
accents his kit, and it
Of
feels like a
course.
high point because like I hit a button and ha 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 back to full, right? Like that's how you do it right. You know what I mean? And it also gives
Hmm.
counterplay because it's like, well, I can impact grievous wounds when he's going to ult, and I know he's going to ult because he's going to do it when he tries to get low. You know what
Sure.
I mean? And so that's like, I have a window where he will either do something impactful or I will do something to stop it. With Maokai, it's like, okay, he's going to regenerate a shit ton of his health every few autos if abilities are going off and shit around him. So, um, now? Now do I stop it now so we can get him low, or do I stop it when he's low so we can try to finish him off? The reality is it doesn't make a goddamn difference, and how do you burst a tree?
With fire.
With a lot of fucking fire. And
But no, I do agree with you, especially because today Maokai was played in the LCK playoffs,
mhm.
and there was a problem because the Tristana ended up not going like a more damage oriented build. She went for more of like a defensive build, but she had Mortal Reminder third, did like no damage, almost like no damage to a Maokai.
Yeah, that's
Auto
scary.
attacking and stuff, and kind of it's like with certain champions, with Swain, with certain like Mundo, if you get an Executioner's Calling, like up pretty badly, right?
Hmm.
Like even
Hmm.
Vlad, like all those three champions, you screw them up so badly with just a single 800 gold item, and you can't do that with the Maokai because you're gonna most likely still need like armor pen, and it's kind of crazy. I feel like you need to like shut him down early, and that's the only way to like be able to make sure he doesn't get his
Well,
items.
well, I mean, to
But
compound on what you're saying, I think you're right that I'm right. And so here's what we'll do to prove that point. Maokai is unaffected in his win rate. It's still, I mean, win rate isn't everything, but it is a status indicator on how hard someone's been hit, particularly one patch to the next, right?
Hmm.
It's a
right,
litmus test, but it's not conclusive. So do not assume that a champion has a bad win rate, they are therefore bad, because there are
Yep.
other things that factor into that. But whenever you look at percent increase and decrease from patch to patch, that's usually a pretty good indicator because,
Hmm.
whatever.
right.
That being said, top, Maokai, still the same. Jungle, Maokai, still above 50%. Like, this is a champion that's not fading out of the meta.
Yep.
So,
And
there is
yeah,
one more thing I want to talk about that has nothing to do with Maokai. So, if you have anything to say about Maokai, go ahead and say it now.
sure. Yeah, I don't know if we said what his nerf was. They made his saplings do less damage early game because they were a 1 point wonder. They're still 1 point wonder. Like no one's using the saplings to like dish out tons of damage. It's not. You get lucky when the sapling hits someone, or explodes, or they walk into a bush randomly. I get that, but no one cared about the sapling really. You were more worried about the tankiness. Like Blake said, you're not worried about the damage, and they
Right.
didn't touch that. And especially for like a pre-world patch, or for the
I,
worlds. It's
Yeah, I mean
no.
War of the
it's
Worlds was more like for the mid lanes, but the thing is, like, they meant to attack his jungle clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Maokai, what he would do was just set up like 3, 4 saplings and not even need a leash, right? And play where knowing exactly where the
Mm-hmm.
jungler starts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, yeah, okay, maybe he might need a small leash, but he doesn't even really need it, right?
No,
Like
he's
it's
fine.
not like it wasn't like a significant like, oh, he does no damage, or like increase the cooldown of, or increase or decrease the cooldown of how long the saplings are there, so you can't so much,
Yeah,
right?
actually, that's a good
Like
idea. Like, so you can only put 2 down or something.
right, instead of like the 3, or you can only
Mhm.
put 1 down because it only lasts 8 seconds and the cooldown is 14 seconds. Like you can
Yeah,
things with the E instead of just saying like the damage. So again, I just feel like it wasn't ideal.
and also Cinder Hulk is such a good item, and just getting Bomby Cinder, like they increase the cost to get that stuff, but still, like it's good enough that tanks have no problem clearing, including Maokai. So
75 gold is not gonna
nope.
kill a champion.
All right,
nah,
Blake,
nah.
what else did you want to talk? Or
Okay, so like I said, I still feel like just to round out the discussion that in jungle or top, Maokai is still completely a tubular champion to play.
keep playing Maokai if you're playing
Yeah,
him.
Mm-hmm.
way cool. So the other thing that I think is a huge problem right now that I don't know if we addressed last episode or not, but I feel like it needs to be is Nasus. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
this is
Broken.
this is one of those I really don't know what the fuck they were thinking balances, right? Well, actually I do know what the fuck they were thinking, but it's just fucking stupid. So let's get into it. Riot has this pattern of saying like we haven't seen a champ played in a long time. So, let's give
Let's
them
overtune him. Yeah.
yeah, let's give them a ridiculous buff and then we'll see what happens. And then if people really start picking them up, then we'll pull back a different nerf that had nothing to do with the buff we gave, right?
Okay.
So it's like you'll buff one thing to ridiculousness and then nerf something else to try to like bring it back, which is a really stupid approach instead of just reverting your buff because it was way over the top, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I get it that they're trying to fiddle with it to get it right, but Nasus was right before. He's just not. He just doesn't have a play style that appeals to everyone. It's like you
Yeah.
gotta play that like 35, 40-minute game with
Mm-hmm.
Nasus
Mm-hmm.
in order to hit your like. This is the point at which I'm awesome. Now they gave him an artificial power spike at 6. Because if you put all of your points into your queue, which is what most Nasus
Yeah.
is? Anyway,
Yes, Susan's.
most of your Nasus players.
Oh, tubular.
Yeah, Mondo. Anyway, most of your Nasus players will put points into their queue in order to lower the cooldown so they can stack more effectively in lane. That only makes sense unless you're going like AP Nasus, then you'll take the Ring of Doom or whatever the fuck just to pop people with AP, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should only really do that in Earth, by the way. It's really good in Earth. It sucks everywhere else. It's also pretty good in ARAM. But
Yes.
anyway, but that's the only reason you would ever not take Q first. And by the time they hit level 6, they've got like 3 points into their Q. And then by the time they hit, like, see, they'll get another point at 7, and then the final point at 9.
Mm-hmm.
So at 9, if they pop ult, they get 50% off the cooldown of Q during their ultimate, which means 1 second Qs. Or
Pretty
one and
much,
a half
'cause, like,
second.
you're also counting like the CDR that they have in runes, because most
Mhm.
NASAs like bring CDR to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have items like Trinity Force, uh,
And can I just throw this out there? Like, I see everybody rushing Trinity Force on Nasus like he's fucking Aurelia. Stop doing that. It is not a core item on Nasus. You can
No, it's not.
you can literally build any Sheen item and it's good on him. Like
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah, I feel like it's more situational than anything.
yeah, it's
Like
like you are way way ahead. Go ahead and build Eternity Force, right?
a bit more behind than build the armor item if
The
you're
Frozen
just like
Fist. That's really good because it prevents people from getting away from you, and that's fine.
which also Nasus doesn't really need. His Wither is one of the most annoying spells in the game.
Sure. But I mean,
And like
look at Siphoning Strike. The cooldown goes from 8 seconds to 4, and that's on a base with no CDR runes. And
yeah.
so if you have CDR runes, you'll go from 4 to like 2.1 or 2.2 seconds. Then go ahead and take half of that off. You're at a one and some change second Q, which is ridiculously broken if you've stacked on it at all. So not only does he gain a ton of health from his ult, but those Qs he's still getting like 10, 15, 20% bonus life steal on a
Mm-hmm.
permanent basis from his passive. So he's going to hit you like a truck often, lifesteal up all that damage. Also, his ult does damage. Also, you're going to lose armor because you're standing in his E if he's not an idiot. And then he's just going to consistently ground pound your ass like driving a tent stake into the ground with his Q, and you will die even if you are a lane bully like Renekton. You just can't beat Nasus with that buff. And it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Because it's like you've designed this champion to be like Viger, to stack and to scale and to get to an unkillable raid boss status at the end of the game. There is
Mm-hmm.
no reason to give him a level, like a really good level 7 or 9. You know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
reason he should have that power spike. He is an ultra late game, hyper carry, raid boss champion. And to give him that ability lets him just one on one virtually anybody. And his ult cooldown is on such a low fucking timer. Like, it's pretty
Yeah.
fucking ridiculous. Like, it's 120 seconds. And then, 40% CDR on that. You're at like a little over a minute, like 70
Mm-hmm.
seconds.
Yep. I mean, I have not seen a Nasus since that change. They're always banned. Someone on our team is banning him. Someone on the enemy team is banning him. He's always like a double ban. You just don't see him.
Well, and that's like in solo queue and like high plat where I'm at right now, I see a lot of Nasus because people are trying to abuse it, and everybody's cocky enough to be like, "Pfft, I know how to play against a Nasus. Just deny him farm, and it's no problem." Well, they're also not prepared for that. Oh, Andy's gonna have a way earlier power spike,
Mm.
and
My favorite is when people think that picking Nasus is gonna like automatically win them the game, and then the opposite team just picks Vayne. If you keep Vayne alive, that's it. You win the game. So it's like,
yeah, but I mean, I
that's
guess
the
my
part.
point is like,
No,
there's
I do agree with
there's
you though. Yeah.
always that with any champion. There's always and I can pick this other champion that does the opposite, right? But that's only true if you can counterpick.
Yeah.
Like
No,
if
that
your
is
ADC picks
100% true.
Lucian round 1 and you pick Nasus round 5, you have no answer. You know what I mean? And that's my
For the
problem. Is like,
most
what are
part.
you gonna do? You're gonna pick a lane bully? Okay, well your lane bully loses at 7 to 9 because
Yep.
everybody loses to him at 7 to 9. So why should why should a champion that scales indefinitely have a window in which he beats everyone? That doesn't make any
That's
fucking
not at level
sense.
18.
Yeah, that's not level 18. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
And I guess that's my problem is
Like it's like Fiora being like, oh yeah, at level 3 she can one shot anyone in the game. It's like, oh yeah, that's what Fiora needed.
yeah, well, like I said, I just don't I'm usually pretty down with Riot's balanced team. So I'm like, hey, you addressed the problem. You may not have addressed it perfectly right or the way in which I thought you should, but at least what you're trying to do makes some sense. Well, like with this, well, why? It was like when people were building crit tumble Vayne, and then it's like, all of a sudden, if I tumble at you and I happen to hit a crit, it's just gonna rape you. Like you just lost 800 health, right? And then
Yes.
they're like, why is that a thing? Why should Vayne be able to drop 80% of someone's health in laning phase, right?
Yep.
Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
like, oh, she has static shiv. Let me.
yeah, let me just
That's
tumble at you. We're going to roll the dice. And if I win on the dice roll, you're dead. And that, okay, well, she's supposed to be a late game hyper carry, and she gets there anyway with the crit build. So now she has an early and mid game power spike in addition to being super strong late. And then Riot's like, oh, yeah, I guess that's a problem. We need to nerf the crit and tumble interaction to kind of kill that build and go back to
yeah.
attack speed Vayne. I was like, all right, good job. Cool. You see what the problem is here. Then we have Nasus. I'm like, how the fuck do you not see what the problem is here? You know, like it
All
was
right,
just
all right.
like it was just like a few patches ago. Whenever I was talking about offensive and defensive itemization mixed
Mhm.
together, and I still think that's a problem. But
Yeah.
you know,
All
I can
right.
adjust to that. You can't adjust to Nasus, so that's dumb.
Yep. Luckily, you have 10 bands, so bye Nasus.
True, true.
Anyways, so Manny, you had some stuff you wanted to talk about. We had some 80 carries get nerfed this patch,
Yes.
Caitlyn and Corky specifically. But how are 80
Yes.
carries right now?
So Corky is fine, actually. Not in the ADC role though, because you had mentioned before we were talking, like before we started like the episode and stuff, we were talking about kind of like the changes, and
Hmm.
him and Caitlyn have dropped to like the lowest, was 5, whatever.
Yep, the number one worst spot and number two worst spot covered by Caitlyn and Corky.
Um, yeah. So I don't think like ever since like the changes to Corky, like since he got like nerfed, I don't think he's like strong 2v2 champ. You know, he needs a lot of like solo experience to really be able to get rolling across the map.
Mm-hmm.
From like my experience, so I think he's still fine. In mid lane, he does mostly AP damage now. So you know, do you really consider him an ADC? It's more like an APC at this point,
Sure,
right? With the
He's an
and
armored
stuff.
personnel carrier.
Yeah.
sure.
Yes, he is.
Technically, I guess that's true because he does fly around in an armored vehicle, and he is
Yeah.
personnel.
And
Good
he's
joke, Manny. It
carrying.
worked on a lot of levels.
I'm working on it. Caitlyn, I do think her changes uh kind of killed her. Like, you know, unless you're really good at Caitlyn and understand how to use the traps perfectly, I don't think like you should pick her.
Hmm.
We still have like the strong champions though of Tristana untouched. You know, I still think Sivir is a very good champion, and you know what a lot of casters have talked is like the holy trinity of the ADCs is Tristana, Callista, and it's like kind of like a rock paper scissors type deal
Hmm.
because each one beats one of the others. So it's kind of like, who are you gonna get? So Sivir would be Tristana because her E blocks most of her spells, you know, and most of her damage. Callista beats Sivir, and then Tristana beats Sivir. Beats Callista. I think I butchered that. Anyway, you get what I mean.
It's paper rock scissors, but everybody beats Sivir.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Tristana beats Callista. So I think
And
those are your power picks right now in the
nobody
ADC.
picks rock. Is what I
Yeah,
get
nobody
at.
beats Rock.
Okay.
I still think that Sivir's more situational, especially like the lower ranks you are. I think she needs a lot of mechanical like understanding one of the
Hmm.
kit and of when to like dodge skill shots and um those are still like top 3 main ADCs. I know that Blake, you as a support, I don't know what you see mostly
Oh,
up
at
in plat, but
ADC,
yeah.
same champions. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty universal. I see Twitch a lot too, and I think Twitch
Yeah,
is
I'd
strong.
say I think Twitch is strong. I just feel like the problem with Twitch is that, you know, obviously he's meant to be like a hyper carry, and if you don't get him past like certain stages of the game, you can just end the game before he becomes like anything.
Well, but now with
Yeah, the
like defensive
maturity.
supports that all build Ardent Sensor, any hyper carry kind of works as long as the team. If in
That's
solo
true.
queue it could work no
Yeah,
matter
but I
what.
mean, here's
In
the thing.
professional, it all depends on how you play it.
But you can say that, and I have a feeling that Ardent Sensor is going to be gone like next patch. It's not like everybody's not aware that Ardent. I mean, I don't think it's going to be gone. Like they're going to
Jaina
delete the item.
herself is getting nerfed.
Well, sure,
Uh,
but Janna's not the only problem. I mean,
oh
Janna is
wait,
a
yeah, of
huge
course.
problem, but it's Janna and Janna's ability to use Ardent Sensor like super stupidly effectively,
Right.
and it was also had to do with her synergy with Coin, and Coin was broken,
Hmm.
and but I mean, keep in mind, Coin got nerfed, and Janna's still stupidly strong, but Coin helped Janna to the point that she had no mana issues whatsoever, ever. But at the same time,
Yeah.
like, if you use your shields properly, you shouldn't really have too many mana issues. Or let me put it this way: if your ADC is not like a paste eater, you shouldn't have to use your shield so much that you go out of mana. You know?
Sure.
Right. And you just automatically win a trade. You put that shield on your AD carry. He's gonna heal up, absorb damage. Like it's just ridiculous. But I'd say like that's kind of like the round out, at least ADC round out.
Okay.
I feel like with supports you can kind of play anything. Like obviously like the Ardent sensors, like the you still have like your playmaking supports. You still have like your tanky supports that it's kind of like
Oh,
a
by the way,
anyone's
I
game
just want to throw
type
this
of thing.
out there since you said you can play anything support, and I've made a career trying to prove that point. Uh, Graga's support
Is
is
broken.
100% legit, and it is really, really, really strong at
Stronger
the
I
than it was
moment.
before because it's been strong. It's just like not everyone picks it.
No, it's strong, kind of in the meta of what champions are played right now, is what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah, I do agree with
Why is
that
that,
because
Blake?
It's good into a lot of hyper carry champions because it deals a lot of early game damage. So like your level 2 and your level 3 is really strong,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get a kill at those levels pretty easy if people aren't careful, and people do not know to be that careful into a
Into
Gragas because
Krogan support.
they just don't know what you can do. And so his like level 3 burst is pretty huge in terms of just pop potential, and it kind of holds people still for a little bit.
yeah, I was
Mm-hmm.
also gonna say you have three forms of CC. Two hard CC, one like partial CC, which with the slow. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like if you hit your abilities, destroy anyone, and it could be like, oh yeah, the Janna's gonna block me if I E, but if I throw a perfect like, oh, their 80 carry is gonna be right in front of us. It doesn't matter what Janna
Yeah,
does. Type of thing,
it's
right? Like
literally like a lot of what you said. If you look at what he can do, he gets super tanky. He has damage reduction. He has in lane sustain. His mana regen isn't that big of a problem right now. Coin solved that a lot, but now I don't even go coin. I just go the blue
icons,
one, and then
You go spell
buy.
thief?
spell thieves.
Yeah, I go spell thieves, and I buy an early fairy charm.
Needlessly large rod.
Or the one that gives mana. The fairy charm is hit points, isn't it?
Charm.
What am
No,
I
that's the
thinking?
mana.
No,
That's
that's the
mana.
rejuvenation bead. Fairy
You're right.
charm. Fairy charm is what I buy. So I buy an early fairy charm, and then that item it lets me rush Frostfang faster, and then I may even buy an additional fairy charm if I need it, which I'll later turn into redemption. But you can you can roam super well, you're super tanky, you do percent health damage, you heal well, like yourself, you have individual sustain there, you do really
Mm-hmm.
good damage early, you have poke, and you can prevent things like Elise in from queuing your ADC. Because when he goes in to
Yeah,
finish that
yeah.
queue, you just body slam into it.
Yep.
And body slam is super broken in
hmm
its ability to disrupt things.
It
So
disrupts. I'm pretty sure it's like its priority is like one of the highest in the game, and I think like one of the only abilities that stops it is W is like Alice or Headbutt.
yeah, like I said, I thought it was like a coin flip on that. Like sometimes headbutt hits,
I
sometimes body slam
I
does.
I think it depends on like who ends up going last.
Oh,
Like
that's
who
interesting.
activates it last? I think it's like the interaction, but
But I mean, yeah, it's crazy how good that ability is, and it's like I said, he hits basically like AP Alistair early, and he gets super tanky, and he can roam super well, and there's not a whole lot
there's
of really bad matchups, and he has good
I was
team
gonna say,
fight presence with his ult.
yeah, and also I was gonna say like the main issue with melee supports because I'll consider Gragas obviously a melee support because that's is that if there's a ranged support in that lane, you can't do much, right? You can't walk up like you'll immediately get abused. Issue. His Q has a pretty big range for like it's surprising at times how like long it is. And then if they step out, you can just EW them and like take out almost half their health. You know, pop ignite, be able to finish it. Like you know, it's. I think it. If you understand how to play Gragas, I think it's very strong.
Yeah.
Like I
Well,
don't think like anyone can grab it, but I think like because you know like I think body slam mechanics and how to dodge minions and stuff like that is pretty important.
yeah. Well, like I
Especially
said,
like
I play pretty gnarly Gragas, so I don't have any problems. But that being said, I do actually want to weigh in on what you said about Caitlyn and her being essentially dead. I don't. I really think that the Q was overboard. The Q nerf. I didn't really
yeah,
think that needed to happen.
I
Uh,
agree
the
completely.
traps were annoying to play against, and aside from a siege scenario, they weren't super fun to play with. But the big problem is that they just did too much damage. Like hitting somebody with that empowered auto attack
Oh,
after the
so
trap,
painful.
it does so much damage that there's like really no response to it. You know what I mean? Like, well, I just got hit for 40% of my health, and that's assuming that they don't like net me after they shoot me and shoot me again. You know,
Yeah,
otherwise you're just out of lane, and that that's too strong. Like that in and of itself is too strong.
Yeah.
You know,
60
so
60% more or 70% more damage. That's a lot of damage.
yeah,
yeah.
It's a
yeah.
lot of
And so I mean,
damage.
But
that's the problem is that the traps were just too punishing, and there's still not a good way to clear them. I feel like if they just made it to where if you could auto attack the traps or something to disarm them, that would have fixed it.
I feel like
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like in a sense what they're gonna end up needing to do is kind of like what they did with Nidalee. Turn the traps from visible to invisible. Takes like 2 shots to disable or something like that. You know, like because it's not like Nidalee or like a Teemo. Like Caitlyn can't just put 100 traps. There's a limit of 3. You
Well, it's
know,
5 when it's
It's
maxed
five
out.
now.
well, yeah, 5 when it's max, but like limit of 3 early. You know, early game depending on what they max. But the vision game that you have is like strong. Like that, there'll be like the counterplay to it, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, I still feel like she just uh,
I mean, I
like
guess
because
I guess my problem is it's a heavy-handed approach to what Caitlyn already does well. They're like, okay, she has super long auto attack range. She's a lane bully, and that means she can siege, right? Because she can safely shoot a turret from far away. So, uh, in order to make her even more of a lane bully, the traps hurt like a motherfucker if you're anywhere near her. And then, two, she sieges well, and the traps make her siege impossibly well. And that's
right.
why I feel like that just doesn't need to be in her kit. She already does. It's like painful redundancy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it,
no,
it feels like what you should do is destroy Yordle Snaptrap as an ability, and give her something like Jinx has, but maybe not exactly that. You know, or like give her an attack speed buff or something. You know, like Misfortune, like just
right.
something that's she already has a good enough kit with Q and E. It's a compelling enough combo. She doesn't need 100 fucking traps. Like she just doesn't.
Right.
And if that's going to be your thing, that you're going to give her CC with like a weakness, like Jinx's. So it's not like permanent lane presence CC. You know what I mean? Make it like a oh shit button. Like I'm getting ganked and I need to block off this area. Oh shit. Like right now it's oh, you're trying to fight me. I can put this trap into some place that I know you're going to have to dodge it and then therefore win a fight. Like, or I'm going to put 5 across an entrance to the jungle so you can't get to dragon. That sucks. I mean, it's just not fun for anybody. So, I guess I don't mind. It does feel heavy-handed. I don't know that she's dead, but I don't know that she's even good right now.
I mean, just
I
it's
think
hard in solo
priorities
queue. Her solo queue numbers are really, really bad. I don't mind if she has like a 46% win rate in professional play, but having that low in solo queue means, I mean, it's 45. Like that's really low.
She went from like 50 plus, you know, to like 45.
Yeah, her
like,
numbers got
half and a
reversed.
half. Like, it's like, oh damn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
All
yeah,
right.
like that's a big swing, but
Yeah.
All right, so there's two more things I want to talk about on the patch. One thing is that they added vision ping. If you guys aren't aware, once you go in a client, you have to actually go into your hotkeys menu, and you can actually set a hotkey to ping where wards have been placed. Super important.
Under,
I
communication.
don't see people using it, like
I use
ever.
it all the time.
I see people
It's so
pinging the
amazing.
Nexus at the beginning of the match, ping, ping, because it makes like a different sound, you know, it's like dong, 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 and then no one ever uses it ever again. It annoys me. So don't forget that it's in your, you have to put it on your hotkeys. I put it on C. I don't know where you guys put it on, but.
I put an N for no vision.
And it's so far away. I guess
I,
your thumb?
I have my
You use that
thumb
on
near
thumb?
like
Okay.
yeah. Where because like I use space to like center the camera, so it's not that bad.
Blake, did you bind it yet?
yeah, I bound it to H.
H?
Yep,
That's
for
kinda
Hold
far, too.
for here's a fucking ward, dude. Right here. That's a ward. No, my other one's on G. So it's
Yeah.
just slide my
Yeah,
finger
yeah.
over one more.
And
And I wasn't using the H button
so
anyway.
many people I saw like were like, oh my god, we need like this to be in the menu. This is just for now. Like I want to make sure that people understand that. Like you have to bind it for now. They are planning on how to like add it to like the
Put it on the
of
wheel.
things and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
All right.
they said that they just wanted to do it like nice. They don't want
Sure,
to
sure.
like do a crap
I'm okay
job.
with it. Yeah. And then the other big thing I want to talk to you, mention, which for most of us on the podcast, I think we kind of forget, but they upped the number of champions that are going to be in the free to play champion rotation from it used to be, it's 10
And
and
it
now
used
it's
to be
been up to 14. And they're saying they're going to keep increasing it to match 10% of the champion pool.
so
which is-
every 10 champions. You're
Yep,
gonna
you'll
get
add another one.
more.
So that's a big deal. For me, it hasn't been a big deal for a very long time, but
Yeah.
I think that should be really fun to look forward to for all you guys that haven't been playing forever and haven't put tons of money into this game and don't want to try out new champions. If you guys are
Excited for Ornn.
yeah.
So fun.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about Ornn probably maybe in 2 episodes.
Isn't our
I
30
think-
minutes up? Should we just talk about Ornn in episode 2?
No, we're gonna talk about that in a later week after he's released. But yeah, as you guys are climbing and
Big
learning the
milestone.
game and playing new champions, you have to be playing new champions all the time that you haven't played, even if it's like in a custom, like play it in a bot game so you can like hurry up and finish it and wreck it, because it's really important to know what other champions do and what other champions kits are, even if you're not interested in them, because then you don't know
I
how
think
to play against it.
The biggest complaint I get when someone picks like an off meta, top laner or whatever, or even when I go into Smurfs or play with lower ranked people, how this champion works and it's a Shen, and I'm like, you come on, man. Like, I feel like it's just important. Even if you just watch a video of someone playing the champion or describing the champion, I think it's very good. It's also very good when a new champion is released. Don't just go into game being like, oh, I wonder what Camille does, because like when she came out, it was like ridiculous, right? So I think that is definitely something important to.
Okay, so That's it for this patch episode. We will have another episode right after this.
Hold up. I want to add one thing. In
Yeah.
order to do the, whenever you asked me where I had it bound to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was looking when you said, oh, you can just pull up the client and look in the tab for hotkeys. Actually, you can't. It's not in the
In-game.
client.
In-game.
You have to be in game.
Did I say
And then-
client?
Yeah, you did. So I
Oops.
was like, I logged into the client just to make sure I wasn't lying that I had bound it to H, and I couldn't find it. I'm like, did this fucker unbind or what the fuck? And then so I logged into the practice tool just now, and it is there, but it is under the communications section of your
Yeah.
hotkeys
Communications.
in-game only.
Yep, in
Again,
game only.
For now.
And yeah, I can confirm mine is H. So there you go.
Good.
Yeah,
All right.
mine is N.
Cool. All right. So that is it for this episode. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Peace.
All right. I don't know how to sign out on this. This doesn't work anymore. I can't say goodnight, everybody. See you guys in a minute. Cha-cha. This fucking sucks. You've ruined me.